with the mid lane matchup, because so excited to see that Anivia coming out again, this time versus Ziggs. What do you guys make of the matchup?
Well, obviously we saw Froggen bring teleport because he knew it was going to be a hard laning phase, and then he could focus, on ganking other lanes instead of putting all the focus on trying to beat Ziggs all alone. And the Anivia pick itself just really worked well for Alliance because they had Elise as well, and they had Morgana. So you have Binding, you have Cocoon, you have Anivia stun as well when you actually siege on the tower. We saw them use it with the wall, of course, from Froggen just to catch out targets and take kills.
Yeah, speaking of catching out, I actually don't think this was the best showing we've seen from Selfie. This split, he's definitely got a lot better, but this game he got caught out 3, 4, 5 times. The bombs were either too early or too late a lot of the time. We saw he'd throw the bomb, then the crescendo would come, then Evelyn would run in there. It was all just a little bit disjointed, and I don't know how much we can read into this performance because Super Hot Crew definitely looks a little bit off.
Yeah, another pick I actually wanted to talk about is seeing the Thresh banned out by the Super Hot Crew, and I was kind of wondering, what will We Will Failure do on our champions? It was the Sona coming out again. What did you make of that? Him on Sona, and on the other side, Morgana for Nif.
Right, so he had a weird diff, of course, early on to Froggen where he tried to stop the recall, but the Sona pick itself, or We Will Failure on Sona, wasn't the issue. It was the Sona pick itself that was very easy for Alliance to punish. That's why they had so much focus on teleporting to the bot lane with Anivia, ganking with Shook, because with Sona in the laning phase, or just in general, you're very immobile. I mean, there's no jumps, you're very squishy. So as soon as they teleport in behind her, it's just an easy kill every single time, and they really used it to get a lot of early kills.
I think later on, though, crescendos, we saw a few very good ones out of him. The flash crescendo to actually kill Froggen the first time, I think that was really well done. Also in the one of the very last team fights, I think he got a 4 or 5 man crescendo, but again, they'd already used the bomb. The rest of the team were already backing away.
Yeah, too little, too late in there. When we look at the game in general, early game standard lanes again, is that because this was such an important matchup and they were kind of maybe shy to jump the gun and bring out too many fights in the early game? Did they just want to take it slow?
Not at all, in my opinion. It's just how it went. Nobody went for any early lane swaps here, and that's fine. You don't have to lane swap. If you feel confident you can beat people in the laning phase, then it's the best tactic to use. And of course, Alliance, they've shown time and time again, standard lanes are just fine for them because they are so strong. The teamwork with teleports were great. The early dragon control with Shook on Elise as well was perfect. They kept starting dragons early on. Every time Super Crew moved, they stopped until the one time where Super Crew were out of position, picked up first dragon, got the next one, and kept getting all the dragons throughout the game. So Alliance, I mean, they're just showing we can play lane swaps, we can play minion control, we can play standard lanes, everything works for us.
Yeah, I think that's the big point, that they've got a lot of variety in their tactics because we saw a lot of TP last season in Season 3, and the thing is, it works. If the bottom lane is too far up, you can make it a 3 versus 2 instantly. If the mid lane, especially if it's an Anivia with a wall in there and a slow and a stun as well, we'll see. I think we might see more of it.
Finally, let's maybe take a general step back and look at Alliance as a team right now and maybe compare it with the team that is closest to them, maybe SK Gaming, and kind of the differences between those two, Defisho.
Well, last time we saw Alliance versus SK Gaming, it was pretty much the same level when it came to map movements, when it came to mid-late game points, except Alliance slowed down a little bit, gave SK a chance, but the early game was the big difference. In Reddit talked about it after the SK Gaming match, how they've been working on playing more solo queue, need to improve early game individual performance, because that's where Alliance beat them and were the better team. And we saw the same thing against Super Hot Crew right here. I mean, standard lanes and slowly just pull ahead, do some good ganks, great use of teleport, and just take full control of the game. So Alliance, all around, are just looking like the best team in Europe.
And that's the thing, right? They were put together because they were individually skilled players. So that's the side of the game that I think they always had, but they slowly, tactically, and the teamwork that they're managing to get together, the right calls, I mean, they still scream a lot. I think their communication in game could still be better, and I think that'd actually give them a bit of a boost if they worked on that, but they look frightening right now.
Absolutely great plays made by Alliance once again, and actually that's also what we've asked you at home. You've been tweeting to us at LOL Esports because we picked your brain on who is the biggest playmaker in the European LCS and why. And here are some of your answers. The first one is from at LOL Personality. The biggest playmaker is Expeke. The guy has a play named after him. He's a smart, experienced player as well. So that's a little double for me because that was a while ago.
Of course, I mean, we can't forget the play, and it, for me, just shows what kind of player Expeke is. He likes to make the big plays or try to make them. If Fnatic falls behind, of course, it becomes harder and harder. So while he's been a bit inconsistent, of course, when he had good games, he would make the big plays still, and therefore have to agree.
The second one is from @Hussein Ahmed. Impaler has been making sweet play so far in the summer split. His Lee Sin was a bit cold in week 1, but now it's super hot. Too bad we didn't see it here.
Yeah, and Impaler is another player that's only improved as we went along. If you remember back to the spring split, he was like really struggling to find his right kind of champion. Then all of a sudden he found Pantheon, and he was like, okay, he's getting better, he's getting better. Then he had a bit of a weak phase, but I honestly think that Impaler is a player that's really grown overall, and a bit of British pride as well always helps.
The last one is from @GetLovid. That has to be Nif. His hooks and solar flares are always turning fights into Alliance's favor, and Morgana is also pretty good.
Well, we have to agree, Nif is great in making plays. With the rest of Alliance, the synergy with Shook, we always talk about it. For me though, I always think back to the promotion before the last split, of course, where he played for SK Gaming actually. Pretty much the same lineup here, just him on the team instead of Inrated, where against Super Hot Crew, SK Gaming was 2-2. Last game, he picks Leona and he just makes plays left and right, carries the team into the LCS, joins Alliance, and keeps making big plays, of course.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming together for them. Thank you for sending those tweets in, and keep the in-game chatter going by using #LCS in your tweets. We're going to send it back to Demon and Quickshot at the desk, but first, let's